Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening for everybody. Nice to meet you again in our 26th session. It is about teaching strategies for the classroom with Professor Adly from Egypt. But before he begins his presentation, let's watch this this small video. Thank you for watching. Now let's come to the introducing of our guest speaker. Welcome another time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Shawqia Hawawre from Palestine, the president of the English Teachers Association. I welcome you another time, everybody, and I thank Professor Adly Abd Al Rahman from Egypt for accepting our invitation. He will talk about teaching strategies for classroom, and it is a very important issue. Now, let's introduce our guest speaker. Professor Adly Abd Al Rahman, he is the principal of Global Course Academy and the GCA for teaching online English courses and international classes. He's the principal of English Language Department at Izzat al-Nimr Academy High School in the Ministry of Education in Egypt. He's the principal of English Language Department at Alpha Aviation Services Academy, Alexandria, Egypt. He's the principal also of English Language Department at Trust Academy in Egypt and a lecturer at European Communication Services of Scotland College, Edinburgh, Scotland. And also, Professor Adly Abd Al Rahman is an expert teacher at Armadale Academy High School, Bathgate, Edinburgh, in Scotland. Welcome, Professor Adly Abd Al Rahman, and thanks another time for accepting our invitation, and hope our attendees get benefit from your meeting. Thank you another time. Welcome all attendees and participants from all over the world. Now you can start your presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for your great introducing for me. And I'd like to welcome to all my friends and colleagues here now, and best wishes for you all to get success, health, and happiness. And today we will discuss together the most important topic in educational process, teaching strategies. And today, when Professor Shawqia asked me to prepare myself to give a lecture about teaching strategies, so I think, well, so I choose what are the most important teaching strategies that the teacher can use in the classroom. And after that, what are the best? So first, I will tell you the most important. And after that, the scientists or the educational scientists prefer some of the most useful and important teaching strategies from their own views. Okay, and I will introduce you, or I'll show you my favorite teaching strategies. And at last, I will give you some advice about teaching strategies and how to deal with our students in the classroom. Okay, let's start now. I know the topic is too long and maybe you feel bored, so I will share my lecture to you, okay, to follow me step by step, okay? And if you want to ask any about any topic, any point, so you can ask me, okay? And we can discussion. So I want to ask you, because teaching strategies is so important. If I want to get a definition about teaching strategies, all activities, okay, that you use inside the classroom. So it is not limited. We can use old, okay, old teaching strategies and modern teaching strategies, but also we can create so important strategies by our creativity. Okay, so now I'll share you my lecture and step by step we follow together. Okay, let's go. Okay, teaching strategies for the classroom. This is the most important topic for all teachers all over the world, not in Arab teachers only, no, for all over the world. How to deal with our students inside the classroom and how to create many activities and strategies during teaching process. So now, as you see, what are teaching strategies? If I want to ask you, if you want to, anyone wants to share me about some information about teaching strategies, the definition of teaching strategies, it is okay. Okay, Professor Shawqia, you can ask any
Yes.
teacher to share with me to discuss what is the meaning or what is the definition of teaching strategies. What is strategies? Okay,
Yes. Yes. So
if
Professor
if there
Adli,
if there some teachers want to share and discuss with me, it is okay. If no, it is okay. I can talk.
yes, thank you, Professor
Yes.
Adli. So, Professor Adli wants you to share your information. What do you know about strategies, educational strategies? What is a strategy, maybe? You can share either by your voice or by
Yeah.
writing in the chat box. Yes, there is someone. Please, Mr. Muhammad Abbas, go ahead. You can share your
Yes, good
opinion.
afternoon.
Good
Yes.
Yes,
Hello.
afternoon.
can you
Good
hear me?
Welcome.
afternoon. Yes. Good evening. Yeah.
It has been a pleasure for me to join you. I think that by meaning strategies here means some kind of plans by which we can reach some desired goals by the end of our talk, by the end of our sessions, and so on. So they are just like some tactics to be followed in order to reach our goals. Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. Yes. So
Thank
thank you,
you.
Mr. Mohammed.
Now, there's another one, Professor Missa says in the chat box, it is the methods or ways, activities that I use in my classroom.
Yes. Right. Good. Yeah. So
Right,
great.
Miss.
Yes.
Thank
Another
you,
one.
Mr.
Yeah, okay.
No one,
Okay.
anyone wants to
So
share?
yes.
Thank
So I can complete. As Mr. Mohammed and my sister mentioned, okay, teaching strategies, all activities that happen inside the classroom and dealing with students. Okay, so what are teaching strategies? We can see now. Teaching strategies are methods, as my sister said now. and techniques that a teacher will use to support their pupils and or students through the learning process. A teacher will choose a teaching strategy most suitable to the topic being studied, the level of expertise of the learner, and the stage in their learning journey. The same point that my sister mentioned before. Okay? And the next point that Mr. Muhammad told me before, the first speaker, a teaching strategy is the method you use to convey information to your students. There may be a particular strategy that works well with your group of students one year that won't work with your students the next year. It is okay. I can teach for my students this year, but next year I won't teach for them. Because of this, it is important to have lots of teaching strategies in your toolbox. Here are some of the topic ideas for you to use. These topics, top 10 teaching strategies to use in your classrooms. These more scientists in education, in teaching process, mentioned them and say that these are the most important teaching strategies for teachers, okay, that they can use inside classroom. Number one is modeling. Modeling, okay? So modeling, after telling students what to do, it's important to show them exactly how to do it, regardless of how clear your directions are. It is a good idea to model how you expect them to complete an assignment so they understand exactly what they're supposed to do. This will be especially helpful for your students who are visual learners. For example, if you assign a science lab, physically demonstrate each step of the lab before the students do it on their own. The same goes for actually solving a math problem step by step on the board before asking students to do similar problems on their own. Or let's say you're an English teacher. You are, as an English teacher, who wants your students to engage in actively annotating their assigned reading nightly. It would be easy to give them a key and example like this, but it's also really helpful to do demonstration of annotating a passage in class so that students have an idea how to annotate meaningfully of their own. So modeling to give some examples, model examples for our students inside this class. Okay, if any teacher of my colleagues wants to comment or have a definition, other definition of the first teaching strategy of modeling. So can you explain what is modeling and how can we use modeling as a teaching strategy inside the class? Okay, Professor Shawqia,
Yes.
if any teacher
Yes.
wants to explain, give me example.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
if he uses this strategy inside the class or not, if it is positive or negative. Okay.
Yes, so Professor Adli wants you to share your opinion about modeling. Is it a positive way? Is it a negative strategy in teaching inside your classroom? What do you know about modeling? You can share, you can raise your hands, or you can open your mics and share your opinions about modeling. Please, we want you to be active. Yes,
Okay, it
another
is okay.
time.
I can
And
explain
most
more if
active one,
they don't
Mr.
understand
Muhammad.
it.
No, no, they will, they will. Maybe now they are gathering their information in order to start answering Now let's listen to Mr. Muhammad another time.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Muhammad.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thanks. I think that modeling is, of course, one of the most important positive approaches that we can be focusing on while teaching. Because when we let our students observe what we do exactly in class, they will sure imitate us. Somehow they will reach our point. So this is modeling. And without modeling, guys, I suppose that most of our students will be somehow confused, will be puzzling about something that they don't understand well. So modeling is again necessary. Thank you.
Yes, excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. You are so
Thank you.
great. Yes.
Thank you. There is another hand. Mr. Ibrahim, please go ahead.
Okay,
Hello.
Mr. Ibrahim. Hello, Mr. Ibrahim.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
سوري
Hello
يعني
from
هذا
Sudan.
المدخل معي.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim. What do you know about modeling? And if you can use it inside your class or you used it before, and if it is positive or negative as a teaching strategy?
Yes, what do you think, Mr. Ibrahim?
Modeling is just like a process of showing students strategies of, for example, practicing a certain skill.
Yes,
Nice,
thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, thank
There
you,
are
Mr.
some
Ibrahim. You are
answers
so
in the
great.
chat.
Thank you. Another one?
Yes, Miss Fatima says less attractive strategy according to her,
Yes.
but it saves time. Another response with Sumi, it is a strategy by
Yes.
giving example.
Yes. Hello, Sumi. Sumi is the coordinator, as the advisor of Global Course Academy GCA in Indonesia. Welcome, Mrs. Susie.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Professor Susie,
Okay,
sorry.
thank you.
Professor Susie. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sumi. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes. Now you can
Okay.
continue.
Okay, Sumi.
Are you sharing your
Yeah.
screen?
Yeah. According to me, what is a modeling strategy is a strategy or the way how a teacher giving example for the student to be followed.
Yes.
Okay, wait.
Yes, thank you for your answer.
Okay.
Thank you all. Yes,
Okay,
you
thank
are
you.
not sharing your screen, Professor
I
Adly.
already shared. I already shared what happened. Wait.
No, we didn't see
yes,
anything.
wait. I share again.
Yes, there are others here.
Okay,
Mr.
now
Ayman, go ahead,
it shared
please,
now?
Mr. Ayman. No, not yet.
Not
Mr.
yet.
Ayman,
Yes,
yes, welcome.
we use modern technology to attract all the students in the class.
Yes, so in your opinion, it is a positive strategy.
Yes. Ye- Using the
Yes, thanks.
using the modern technology to attract all the students inside the class.
Yes, how can you attract your students by using modeling?
By using technology. By using technology.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
I
there is
tried.
here
I
Mr.
tried.
Ayman using
I don't know.
devices. Mr. Khaled says clear instructions. Maybe I don't know for this question. The other, Mr. Ayman says using modern technology. Thank you. You can
Yes.
now share your screen and continue. It is not shared.
I already share screen, but I don't know what happened. It not appeared.
Yes.
No, I don't know.
Stop sharing, then you can share
I
it.
do it. I do it. Stop sharing already. I stop sharing
Yes.
already. Okay.
Yes.
Wait. Show
Yes,
the
there is another answer here with Mr. Khalid Ibrahim from Sudan. He says instructional strategy with modeling The teacher suggests the students by showing them how to perform a skill while describing each step with a rational. This provides students with visual and verbal example of what they will be expected to do. Thank you for this nice answer, Mr. Khalid. Yes. Now you can continue.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Now you can
Yes.
share. You can share
Yes,
your
but
screen.
wait. I left on laptop, so I get
Yes.
again. Okay.
Yes. So you entered with two names. Sorry. So I will enable you now.
No, I can complete till I wait. I rejoin
Yes.
again.
Problem.
Okay, Doctor, perhaps shall I add something while Professor is
Yes.
preparing
Of
his laptop
course.
again?
Yes. Yes. Of course. With pleasure.
You
Go
just
ahead.
excuse me. Okay. So, what our friends mentioned now about this modeling technique, I think it's a good technique because by this technique we can get a clear picture about our students' minds, about our ways of dealing with them, and then to create another better picture with them to expect what is more from them later on in the classroom. So all of us can benefit from this modeling, not only as teachers, but also as our students. So for most of the English language learners, modeling is perhaps somehow advantageous. It is not passive at all. Thank you.
Thank you
Yes,
very
you're
much
welcome.
for this.
So excellent. Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
excellent. Yes.
Yes. Dr. Adli, what is the other
Okay, I
name
can
that you entered
complete.
with?
Yes, you can complete till I join. I'm on way to join now on my laptop. So the
Yes.
second,
Maybe.
yes,
Yes.
rejoin again. Okay, I think I
Yes.
rejoin now.
Is
Okay,
it here
join
the
now.
global
Okay.
course? Yes.
Yes,
Then so I
okay.
will make you presenter also from
Yes,
this one.
I'm in now.
Yes. Now you can share. Now you
Ma'am,
can share.
I
Yes.
would also like to
Yes.
share my views on teaching methodologies for
Yes.
English language skills. May I?
Yes. Please, with pleasure. Go ahead.
All right. Um, as far as teaching in English is concerned, we can adopt the methodology of teaching through grammar translation method. And the second option that can be used is the direct method that is taught to the students in the native language in which they are living. Like, for example, if you are teaching in Saudi Arabia, you may teach the students the grammar in their native language. And whereas grammar translation model, you have to model the you can say translation, and then they can go ahead with their presentations and practicing process.
Yes. Thank you for this nice information. Another one. Another one. Yes, let's see the chat box. Miss Samah says it is the teacher. No. I can use modeling only to direct the students, but using it doesn't go with the learner-centered teaching. Thanks for this opinion. Another one, Miss Hiam adds, it is the teacher doing while involving the students in thinking, the doing, and all aspects of process. Thank you. Here, you mentioned a very important point, which is encouraging our student to think, because always or many times educators in the classroom, they are talking, and this is not a good thing, because the student is the center of the educational process, and we as educators should encourage and urge them to talk more and more in order to see and to check what are they thinking, what is their opinion of something. Maybe they are holding some negative think or opinion about some issue. So when we urge them to think, this is a very important point. As you know, thinking and the critical thinking especially is an important skill from the 21st century skills. Thank you for this nice opinion.
You're welcome, so great. Yes, thank you, thank you. Okay, I can complete now.
Yes,
I try to
you can
explain.
share.
Okay, so
You
number
can
one,
share now.
modeling. Number one, modeling.
Yes.
Number two is
You can
addressing the
share
mistake.
your screen,
Yeah,
please.
addressing
Can you hear me?
mistakes. Yes, I hear
Can you
you.
hear me? Yes,
Yes,
please
I
share
hear
your
you.
screen. It is not shared.
But
It is not shared.
okay, wait. I try to
Yes.
to share from my mobile till my.
Yes.
Okay, I share now from my
No.
mobile.
Yes, we will see.
Yes. Tell.
If you like, you can send it to me and I will share it.
Share screen. I will share all screen. Okay.
Yes.
So now
Yes.
I hope you can see. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
You
Now.
can
Yes.
now?
Now.
See now?
Yes. Yes.
You
We
can see
can
now?
share.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
I try to. Yes. I try to wait. Join again from my laptop.
Yes, so until that time, we will
you can see
remain
my
at
screen.
another time to
You can see
teaching
my
strategies.
screen.
Yes, we see it. It is visible
Okay.
now. Thank you.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay.
There
Okay,
is
number two,
another.
addressing mistakes.
Please, sorry for
Addressing mistakes.
interruption. Sorry
Yes,
for interruption, but there are many answers here in the chat box.
Ibu lagi
Mr.
dengerin
Ahmed,
sampai ya.
please mute yourselves. Mute yourselves. Mr. Ahmed Nadi says this model strategy provides the students with both a visual and verbal example of what they will be expected to do. And Mr. Ayman adds brainstorming. Ms. Ikrami says the act, art, or profession of a person who models the process of producing scapular form with some plastic material as clay, the technique of rendering the illusion of volume on a two-dimensional surface by shading the treatment of volume as the turning of a form in sculpture. Mr. Ayman adds acting. Yes, Miss Rana, you will have the form, but at the end of the lecture, the form for certificate. Mr. Ayman says acting, singing, yes, nice techniques. Yes, as you know, children like very much singing, acting, modeling, etc. Thank you. Yes, now you can continue, Mr. Dr. Adli.
Okay.
Continue, please.
Okay, thank you. Number two, after modeling, number two, addressing mistakes. Addressing mistakes, if you've ever accidentally spelled a word wrong on the board, you know that students love to identify mistakes. When you're teaching a new skill, try providing an example that includes mistakes. Let students practice the skill by identifying and fixing the mistakes for you. For example, many students cringe at learning grammar through traditional drills and lessons, but many can identify errors organically, even if they don't know exactly how to fix them. Try passing out an assignment and deliberating, including grammar errors. Talk through the assignment in class and see what students are able to catch. Then have a discussion about why the mistakes might be wrong and see what students can come up with. Then provide a mini lesson on the grammar errors at hand. Addressing mistakes is much more meaningful to students when there's a broader context. It's also really great to create a classroom atmosphere where making mistakes is a part of the learning process, and students making less intimidated by topics they may struggle with. This strategy is so most important. Why? Because you get students pay attention and give the students the brave to tell you, teacher, please fail. There is a mistake here. So you can mean it. So the students can communicate with you and give the reaction of God mood to talk to you and to cooperate together to give the correct answer for assignment, for homework, and so on. So I ask my colleagues now, do you like addressing by mistakes as a strategy, teaching strategy inside your classroom?
Surely, it is a nice strategy. I use it with my students many times.
Yes.
For example, maybe while talking and speaking, or by writing a sentence with some mistakes in it, one or two mistakes, and I try to attract our or my students' attention by addressing them to the most or to the mistake and what kind of mistake. Is it a pronunciation? Is it in punctuation? Is it in the word order? Is it in spelling? And etc. So it is a nice strategy. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Ahmed
Okay,
says
I'll come
yes.
back on my
Mr.
laptop.
Ahmed says- Sorry?
Okay.
Yes, Professor, shall I comment?
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
As our dear fellow Dr. Shawqia said, perhaps it's one of the most important parts of our teaching techniques inside the classroom, because as if we don't make any mistakes, then we don't learn. Learning by mistakes is very important. If we let our children make mistakes and do wrongs, and they can teach themselves that special mistake, so they will never commit this mistake again.
Yes, excellent.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, my dear Professor Shawqia, you can give me permission to share on my laptop now.
Yes, of course. With pleasure. Your name is English.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you can share.
Yes.
So there are some answers. Yes, Mr. Ahmed adds yes. So he agrees on this strategy. Yes, you can mute the other device, Professor.
Okay. Yes,
Yes,
I mean.
and so Mr. Ayman adds practicing. Miss Hiam agrees also with you. She says sure, yes. So all of
Yeah.
them or most of them, it seems that they agree with this strategy.
Yes. Okay. Number 3.
There is a doctor, sorry for interruption.
Okay.
There is a saying, doctor says, to err is a human, and we can learn from our mistakes. So we
Yes.
can, for example, encourage students to discover these mistakes and to correct them by themselves. Thank you.
I have a famous sentence. Always I tell my students during my lectures. Don't shy when you speak English. Don't feel afraid, because we all we are all have mistakes, and we always learn from our mistakes. So I encourage my students to talk freely. Don't afraid when you make mistakes. Don't feel shy when you speak and make some mistakes in speaking, in writing. So I encourage them always and say, don't be afraid when you make mistakes, because we always learn from our mistakes. So it is the
So,
best, yes, the best and the most important teaching strategy, because we learn
so
from our mistakes. Yeah,
yes, thank you for this
welcome.
nice thing. So we can put them inside the groups. It is the work, the team spirit, and this is suitable for these shy students who don't participate inside the classroom, but inside their groups, they will get self-confidence because
Yes.
all the members in the group will help each other, and so these shy ones will raise their hands with self-confident and try to correct these mistakes.
Yes,
Thank you.
and you're welcome. And the students themselves and the teacher inside the class feel that all the students are active, okay, and
Yes.
they like teaching at that minute, and the time of the period will be so short. You can't feel if the strategy is so difficult to use as the students can't understand well, so the period will be so difficult to pass. But when you see the students communicate with you and they are active and they pay attention and asking you and you ask them, and there's act and react. Okay, so the period will be so important, so interesting, so enjoyable, so attractive. So the time of the lecture will pass fast. Okay, thank you. Number
Yeah.
three. Okay, anyone wants to add information again about addressing mistakes? Is it okay?
No, thank you.
Okay. Number
Yes.
three, providing feedback. Students don't always know if they're doing a good job without you telling them. So you regularly provide written or verbal feedback for individual or group assignments and make this part of your classroom culture. Remember that students often don't know why something is wrong. So whenever possible and time permitting, take a few moments to explain why you've marked something incorrect on tests and assignments. Okay, so we must tell our students why I say this correct, this incorrect. It's also a great idea to conduct regular group feedback, a sessions. I show you, okay. Remember that student.
Yes.
Yes, as I said before, okay, remember that students often don't know why something is wrong. Whenever possible and time permitting, take a few moments to explain why you've marked something incorrect on tests and assignments. So I must tell my students why it is wrong, why it is right, why it is incorrect, why it is correct. It is also a great deal to conduct regular group feedback sessions based on patterns you're seeing in your students' work. If a fair share of your students seem to be struggling with a concept, it's often more beneficial to create a lesson targeting that topic and discussion the patterns you've seen in class work generally. Okay, remember, of course, to provide plenty of positive feedback, as well as feedback indicating where a student has room to grow or what a student should do differently. Encouragement helps keep students' morale, inspiration, and drive high. And finally, it can be beneficial to turn the tables sometimes. Let the students provide your feedback to tell you how you're doing as well. You can do this in the form of a discussion, issue, class surveys that can be answered anonymously or not, or ask student to email you with feedback. This point is
Yes.
maybe some teacher use it briefly inside the classroom, okay? And we have to evaluate and conduct our students. Always mention why this sentence is correct and why it is not correct. But don't say, no, 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 it is incorrect, and let him without explanation. We have to explain to him why we choose this right answer and why we don't choose this because it is incorrect. So if any one of our friends or colleagues can comment on providing
Yes.
feedback, it is
Yes.
okay.
Yes, Mr. Al Hassan Al Raba says, yes, it is a helpful way to work by dividing the students by working in small groups. They overcome different personal problems and they will have the ability to be more active. Maybe he comments on my comment.
Yes,
So
it is
nice
okay.
thing.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yes,
Yes, I want to add something about the providing feedback.
yes,
Really, it is a very nice and helpful strategy, and I used it many times with my students. I ask them sometimes to write their reflection on the in some classes. Here,
yes,
in this way, they can comment on the weaknesses, the strengths of the class, and if we have the time, I ask them if we have that chance, if we had that chance another time, how would we explain this lesson or introduce this topic, for example. By this way, we can encourage our students to communicate with us, to be
yes,
more active with us. As you know, also communication is a helpful strategy and a skill that we should focus on, because our students, some students are very weak, lazy, not active inside our classes. But in
yeah,
this way, for example, give them the chance to reflect on any topic, on any class. They can, for example, upgrade their proficiency. They can gain confidence. They can be better and better. Thank you.
yes, excellent. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
number 4,
Mr.
yes,
Ayman adds, be
Mr.
energetic
Ayman.
inside the class. Yes, he
Yeah,
says to be energetic inside the class. So all
yes,
that the opinions, it seems that we all have the same opinion in order to make
yes,
our students active,
yes,
energetic, full
yes,
of energy.
yes,
Yes,
yeah,
Yilan adds feedback. Know how far you are going,
yeah,
self-satisfaction, encourage to keep going, positive circle. Thank you. Now
yes,
also
you're welcome.
Miss Hannah adds very good. Thank you. Very
Yes,
good. Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
Okay, number 4 is the most important in my point of view, cooperative learning. It is so important in my point of view. All are important, but in my point of view, cooperative learning so important. Students learn effectively when they're working together. Plan activities that require students to work together and learn from one another. In the process, they'll also learn critical thinking skills, communication skills, problem solving skills, and more. Okay? So the students will be independent and feel themselves. They are so strong and have the opinion to express their opinions and discuss with their colleagues, their classmates. Okay, so cooperative learning is so important. Okay. Anyone want to comment about cooperative learning?
Yes, Mr. Muhammad Abbas adds, add more encouragement to change if possible. Mr. Zuhrab adds, also in cooperative learning are too competitive. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Nice opinion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number 5, experiential learning. Students learn by doing, so create experiences for them to see the concepts in action. Let them practice the concepts in a safe environment. Then they should reflect on the experience and discuss what they learned from them or from it. Classroom activities that you could do for experiential learning include fun games, experiments, and simulations. So, experiential learning is so important inside the classroom, and how to do many experiments and many activities inside the class. So anyone wants to comment about experiential learning?
Yes, Miss Fawziya, please go ahead. Miss Fawziya Talat, go ahead, please. You are raising your hand. Unmute yourself and comment if you like. Miss Fawziya, can you hear me? Yes, so learning by doing, it is suitable for the physical learners. As you know,
Yes,
there
I can
are
hear you.
many.
Yes.
Yes, now, yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Go ahead,
Okay,
Miss Fawziya.
experiential learning is so important inside the class, and we give the students to practice more inside the classroom and give them the environment, a good atmosphere inside the class to do their activities um, in a correct way, and encourage them, okay, to include learning, include fun games, experiments, and simulation inside the classroom.
Yes, thank you.
Number 6,
Yes, Miss Fawziya. Miss
yeah.
Fawziya, please. Miss Fawziya, if you want to comment, please go ahead. Type,
No, that's okay.
Mr.
That's okay with me.
Okay,
Yes, now, yes, go ahead, please.
okay. Student-led classroom.
No,
Student,
sorry. We
okay.
will wait for Miss Fawziya,
Okay, Miss
please.
Fauzia, go ahead. Okay.
Well, that's okay with me. Please continue.
Yes, thank you. Now, Mr. Muhammad Abbas says learning by doing is effective. Mr. Al Hassan adds communication is a main method in teaching. The interaction leads them to find more vocabulary, to respect the syntax gradually. They may make mistakes, but it is very helpful. Cooperative strategy is interesting and gives positive results. Thank you for this nice opinion. Mr. Ayman adds singing, drawing, and soon,
Yes.
what is
Yes,
soon?
right.
What is soon? We don't know. Miss
Yes,
Hannah
singing and
says,
drawing.
really,
So
I'm very
yes.
happy. Yes, Miss Hannah says, really, I'm very happy with your presence, a valuable lecture. Thank you, yeah, Miss Hannah. Then, yes, thank you. I wanted to add about learning by doing. It is a very helpful strategy for those physical learners, as I said at the beginning. And
Yeah.
as we know, there are multiple learning styles: visual, oral, physical, social, etc. So those physical learners needs this because they want to learn by doing by their hands. For example, if we want to teach them how to make cake or how to make salad, for example, or about their heartbeats while they are at relax and while they are working or while they are ill. If we say to them by words, it will not be helpful for them. But for example, I teach them by doing. For example, when I taught my students in the ninth grade about the beating of our heart and the difference with the time of beating, I, for example, make them to count their heart's beats inside the class while they are comfortable and at rest, relax, and then I go out to them to the playground and make them to run more and more, and then they count the pulse of their heat of their heart, and they see by doing what is the difference when they were at relax. It was, for example, about 60 to 70 beats at a second, but when at a moment, sorry. But when they were, for example, running, it becomes about 120 to 140. And this was very attractive, very funny, and very useful way for teaching this thing to them. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Ayman says imitating. By imitating is a very nice strategy. And Mr. Hanis is so beneficial. Mr. Muhammad adds, hands-on activities are helpful indeed to diverse students who need more confidence and encouragement, as Dr. Shawqia comments here. Thank you, Mr. Abbas. Mr. Al-Hassan adds, learning by practice. Practice leads to success. Nice saying. Thank you. Mr. Yilan says, experiential learning requires higher thinking level as other than writing on paper. They should take one more step in applying what they learn. As Percy, the longer the knowledge stays with you, the deeper you remember. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Yes, and
Yes, please, doctor,
acting.
I will mute all, then you can open your mic. Now you can, doctor, open your mic, please. The attendees, all the attendees, please unmute yourself because we want to continue our nice presentation. Thank you.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Also, I can add some little information. Acting, do you remember acting and pantomime? For a long ago, we used pantomime inside the class during teaching. Okay, pantomime means the acting for doing something. For example, when I want to read a book, for example, so I have a book on my hand. I have no a book on my hand, so I tell my students to act. You have a book, so he can open his hand and do like that, or you can do some movements inside the class to explain one point or one idea in the lesson. So acting and pantomime, we can use and encourage our students to do it inside the class to facilitate the lesson and explain more information and get more information about that. Okay, number 6, student-led classroom. When students get to be the teacher for the day, they learn things that they wouldn't have learned otherwise. You could have students team, teach, or work in groups to teach a new topic. You will find that other students will learn from their peers' unique take on the subjects too. It is maybe repeated points. Okay, so student-led classroom. Okay, so the students can be a teacher. So for example, when I teach a point, okay, and when I teach online, So when I finish the explanation, I ask my students, imagine you are a teacher and explain this page. Or imagine you are a teacher that you need to explain, we need you to explain this point for us. So the teacher, the student feels himself so satisfied. He feels he has a self-confidence and he feels himself so strong and motivated. So he speaks as a confident man, okay, or a confident
Yes,
person. Okay, so
yes, I
student
agree
led
with you.
classroom. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So
I agree.
anyone wants to? Yes,
Yes, I
I
will
think it is
begin.
clear.
You.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. This strategy also is very funny, very attractive, very inspiring, motivating for our students. I use it also many times with my students. They take my turn as if they are the real teacher, and also I take their turn as if I am a real student. One day, for example, I sat in the desk as if I
Yeah.
am a student,
Yes, and
and
ask the
I
student to
I
be a teacher. Yeah.
Yes, I acted as if I am a noisy student sometimes, for example, and my student as a teacher and asks, explains, uses presentation, for example, videos, writing on the whiteboard, asks me as a student, etc. So
Yeah.
many students began competing between each other. There was a great competition who will be the second or the following teacher. So I advise all the teachers to use this strategy. Thank you.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
see
Thank
the
you.
comments here.
Okay.
Yes, let's see from the beginning. Yes. Mr. Yilan, yes, no. Mr. Abbas says using gestures and body language, it is
Yes.
also a very helpful strategy. Miss Hala adds, yes, she asks you, could you pass the material, please? Really rich. So she appreciates the material that you are discussing. And Miss Yam also wants the same thing. Miss Yilan or Mr. Yilan says student center versus teacher center, which equals to active learning
Yeah.
versus passive learning. Nice. Yes, thank you. So we should encourage our students not to be passive learners. Mr. Al Hassan adds, yes, I use this strategy. Really, it is fruitful. Mr. Elan says, Miss. Sorry. Miss Yelan, sorry, Miss Yelan. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me, Miss Yelan. Yes, continue, please.
Okay. Thank you. Class discussion number 7. Class discussion. I think all of us use this strategy because it is so important inside classroom.
So,
Another way for students to teach each other is through class discussions. As the students take turns discussing the subject, you can assess their knowledge and discover which students grasp the concepts and to what extent. Discussion inside the classroom is so important because it maybe get our students motivated and get the classroom develop and give the environment the good atmosphere for discussion inside the classroom, and it will get this teaching strategy, get our students inside the classroom to feel so interested and excited, and the process learning inside the classroom will be enjoyable, attractive, and interesting. So what about your opinion for my colleagues? What about your opinion about class discussion inside the classroom and how it is vital inside the classroom?
Mr. Muhammad Abbas, go ahead, please.
Yes, I suppose our professor has just put it all, but perhaps I can add some few words because if we let our students discuss what we do, this may help them maintain focus. Nobody will be distracted. Nobody will be away from us. Again, this helps the students to engage, to be actively listening, to be actively doing what we should do. And finally, perhaps I can add this point that most of us need to better understand our students' perspectives, our students' pictures. Shall we go on like this way, or shall we be moving to another one? Shall we continue like this, or shall we change? Thanks. That's all.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Abbas. You are so great, really.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Nice to meet
Mr.
you. Yes,
Muhammad Hassan.
excellent.
Yes, thank you for this nice talking. And I agree also with you, especially when our schools were closed during
Yes.
COVID-19. We noticed the difference between the face-to-face learning or teaching and the online or the virtual teaching. Our students were not engaged in the process of education while we were teaching them virtually. But when we are inside our class, we will, for example, make contact by using eye contact, the body language, the facial movement, for example. We can notice who is listening to us, who is passive learner, who is asking, answering, discussing, etc. So it is a very nice strategy to help our student to be engaged inside the class or inside the topic or the lesson that we are discussing. Thank you. Let's see here. Mr. Muhammad Al Abbas says a good chance to gain leadership. Mr. Al Hassan Al Rub says they feel that they are present and positive. The teacher shouldn't give everything and behave as if he is the resource of the knowledge and the only resource. Thank you for this nice opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Number 8, inquiry guided instruction. By asking questions and working together to solve the problems, students get to be involved in the learning process. The class can work together to determine the answer and report it. As students do the work to discover the answer on their own, they remember the concepts better and more fully. So it is, I think this strategy is related to the previous discussion, class discussion, and it is vital inside the room, and it is inside the classroom, and the teachers has to do this strategy and communicate with his students by asking questions and encourage his students to solve the problems and encourage him and cooperate with him to do the best to solve problems and to determine the answers and to do the reports and so on. So inquiry guided instructions is a good teaching strategy that the teacher can use inside the classroom. Okay, what about your comments about this teaching strategy? Yes, hello.
Yes. Ruby, please go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, Ruby, please. The floor is yours now. You can comment. Open your mic, please. Yes. Miss Yelan, please go ahead. Miss Yelan.
Yep. Hi, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, yes, you are audible. Go ahead.
Um, All right. So, hi, Dr. Adly. So, basically, to me, the inquiry guide instruction focus on two very important aspects for students, which is first of all teamwork, right, and then second of all, during their way of solving the problems, basically promote their critical thinking skills. Yeah, that's all from me.
It is okay.
Thank you.
It's okay. Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank
Your idea,
you. And
I
sorry.
got it.
And
I
sorry
got it.
for
Yes,
saying Mr. Sorry, Miss Yelan. Sorry.
yes, it is
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mrs. Ilan. Yes,
Now,
thank you. Another one?
thank you. Yes, Mr. Muhammad, the most active
Yes,
attendee
yes,
today.
yes. I feel so proud of him.
Mr. Hassan.
Thank you. Thank you so much indeed.
Yes.
As
Thank
our
you.
Miss Islan has just said, so we can understand from this point that it's a kind of inquiry-based instruction that is based on the student-centered approach, where we can find ourselves, teachers, I mean, as just guides. And the students can go through asking questions and then posing other different ones. So we can discover new methods while this happening inside the classroom. We can discover even more new methods by which we can better understand our students' progress later on. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, thank you, Mr. Muhammad. I can comment about Mr. Muhammad.
Yes.
When until 2007, when I was teaching in Armidale Academy High School um, in Egypt, when I was a teacher here, we do our best. We had we have great efforts inside the class. The teacher does everything inside the class, but students, okay, just watching me. But when I traveled there and I taught there, I saw the teachers are only guides, no efforts, just he guides. He said, you can do that, you can't do that, you can repeat it, you can't repeat it. You can print this assignment. You can come to the computer lab. You can give me more information. You can't give me. It is okay. It is not okay. Just it is the role of the teacher abroad. But the teacher in our Arab countries, the teacher inside our schools the teacher does his best and have a great efforts. The teachers have great efforts inside the class, but the students only watching us. But we have to be guide. We have to be guides and always let the chance or the opportunity for our students to do everything. But just I say, I evaluate him. Just say, yes, you are right. No, you can do it. You can do it. No, you can do better. Okay, don't do that. You can turn it and give him some advice. Okay, but for example, the students do more, but the teacher does little or does few. It is okay. Okay, so that is my comment for Mr. Mohammed. The same idea, I agree with him. The teacher must be a guide, not do everything inside the class. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Okay, another
Thank
chance.
you. Now, yes, when a topic is difficult, the teacher should put questions and give his students the opportunity
Yes,
to look for the suitable answers. This is
yes,
Mr. Al Hassan's saying. And Mr. Ikrami says, guided inquiry learning is a scientific process of active exploration that uses critical, logical, and creative thinking skills to answer questions by teacher guidance. And Rento adds valuable lecture. Very good. Thank you, Professor.
yeah.
He thanks for this nice presentation. Mr. Ahmed Abd Al says thanks for your efforts. Many asks for the form. After 15 minutes, inshallah, I will put the form here. I will not be late. Miss Hala Al-Aqaila says, many thanks for giving us the chance to meet people from all over the world. And Mr. Ahmed adds, thanks for your efforts. Mr. Ayman adds, we benefited a lot. Miss William says students in foreign countries are autonomous learners. And
Yes.
Mr. Muhammad Abbas adds students used to be sitting like desks, but today they are leaders.
Yes, excellent. Right,
They are,
right. Yes,
they are
thank
just
you.
guides and facilitators. We should, I comment on this, we should be facilitators, guiders, directors, leaders, not be, as Mr. Al Hassan says at the beginning, the resource of the information. We can ask our students to teach us sometimes in order to give them the chance, the opportunity to express themselves. Yes,
Yes,
Mr. Al Hassan.
okay.
Yes, there are many.
Professor, another one. There is another one want to
Yes,
talk.
yes,
Okay, go
Mr. Al
ahead.
Hassan adds, it is a traditional way to give everything to the students. It is better to motivate them. Mr. Hani says, great work. Miss May adds, we can use this strategy or method in warming up and presentation also, or in the feedback to summarize the lesson. Thank you for your all comments.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
To add a comment for your speech that um, our students are all already leaders. For example, when the teacher, for me, when I was teaching inside the class for high school, okay, so I asked my students one by one, what would you like to be? He said, I'd like to be a doctor. Another one, I'd like to be an engineer. Another one, I'd like to be a teacher. So he has a goal in his future. So when I talk to them, I ask, I call every student by his job he wanted to be in the future. So Dr. Ahmed, Dr. Faisal, Dr. Mona, I ask all the students by the title of the job he would like to be in the future to encourage him to be feel himself and proud of himself. And I want to get a development, or I get him to develop and to grow his ambition in the future to achieve his goal in the future. So I call him by his title. Title, the job he'd like to be in the future to develop the character and to be a leader. That's what I mean. I deal with them as leaders because they are teachers, they are doctors, they are engineers inside the class. Okay, thank you. Can complete. Number 9, lesson objective transparency. Rather than letting your students figure out what they should be learning on their own, just tell them clearly, state your lesson goals or objectives. You could announce it in class or write it on the board just to make it simple and clear for all of your students to understand. Then they know what they're working towards and what they should know by the end of the class. This, uh, we are number 9. Okay, lesson objective transparency. Rather than letting your students figure out what they should be learning on their own, just tell them clearly state your lesson goals or objectives. You could announce it in class or write it on the board just to make it simple and clear for all of your students to understand. Then they know what they're working towards and what they should know by the end of the class. Maybe most of our students in English, I mean English teacher, not write the aims of the lesson on the board. But we can, in warming up, we can tell them, my dear students, at the end of this lesson, we have to learn blah, 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 blah. Okay, the goals or the objectives of our lesson today. Okay, so our dear colleagues, will you mention the aims or the goals or the objectives of your lesson in your what before you start explanation of your lesson to your students? What about this strategy? Lesson, objective, transparency.
Yes, Miss Fawzia, do you want to comment anything on this issue? Ruby? Miss Ruby?
No, thank you,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yeah.
thank you. Yes.
Okay.
So I will lower your hand. Yes,
It is
Ruby.
okay.
Yes. So
Because
Miss
as I said,
Mr. Al Hassan says, yes, it is interesting to
yeah,
define our goals from the lesson. Strategy says learner center approach.
yeah.
Mr. Muhammad adds sure goals should be clarified to help
Yes,
students
excellent.
be
Yes.
prepared what is going to be said.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we can inform our students about our goals of the aims or the objectives of our lesson today. But it is not important to write the games, the goals, or the objectives on the board. It is not important. But it is so important to tell our students that at the end of this lesson, I want you to understand and learn, for example, the importance of telling a story. I want you to be a storyteller. So at the end of this lesson, I want you to be a storyteller. Okay? So at the end of the lesson, I have 10 minutes or 5 minutes. I give a model student to tell me a story. Okay? Something like that. Okay. Number 10 is graphic organizers. Graphic organizers summarize information in a concise manner using a flowchart, Venn diagram, or web. Students get to see the information in a new light. This helps them organize information in their minds so they can better grasp the new concepts. This is the last one of graphic organizers. Okay, if you have any comment, you can go ahead. Okay.
Ruby, maybe by sorry. Miss Seelan says the learning outcome has to be clear both to students and the teachers. Miss Seelan adds it is a crucial part of a lesson plan. Miss Amal says sometimes in the beginning I write our lesson objectives today, or when I finished each one of them, I check this one after making feedback. Thank you, Mr. Yes. No other
Oh, it
ones.
is
Thank
okay.
you.
And I can add a little information. For example, when we teach family tree inside the class, so I can have a diagram. Okay, I design a diagram. So I write parents, grandparents, okay, and after that sons, and after that son and wife, and after that kids, and so on. So it is a diagram, So when I design a diagram, so I can ask my students to make sentence and give him the chance to talk about the diagram. So it will be so interesting and enjoyable for students to talk and express about themselves, and they can speak freely, fluently, and I encourage them and say, don't afraid, it is okay if you make mistakes. It is okay. Don't feel shy, as we said before, because we learn from our mistakes. Now we go to some, I mentioned most of the important in general, but scientists said that there are 7 effective teaching strategies for the classroom. So the classroom, as we know, is a dynamic environment, bringing together students from different backgrounds with various abilities and personalities. Being an active teacher, therefore, requires the implementation of creative and innovative teaching strategies in order to meet students' individual needs. Whether you've been teaching for 2 months or 20 years, it is okay. You are a teacher and you have the experience and you have the abilities. It can be difficult to know which teaching strategies will work best with your students. As a teacher, there is no one size fits all solution. So here is a range of effective teaching strategies you can use to inspire your classroom practice. Number 1, visualization. As we say in our preparation lesson, visual aids. Bring down academic concepts to life with visual and practical learning experiences, helping your students to understand how their schooling applies the real world. Examples include using the interaction whiteboard to display photos, audio clips, and videos, as well as encouraging your students to get out of their seats with classroom experiments and the local field trips. Okay, so number 1 is visualization. So give me your comments, or if you add some information, it is okay. This is the most important one for teaching strategy, according to most of educationalists. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Miss or Mr. Roby, if you have a comment, you can go ahead. If you don't, I will lower your hand. And let's come to Mr. Muhammad Abbas.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yes, doctor. I think that visualization again is important.
Yeah.
For most of our students and pupils, even they are still in the primary stages, they want to see things more than to listen, more than to read, more than to write. Visualization here is important because if you let your students visualize what he is learning or she is learning, this must be a good idea to him or to her to provide more support, to provide more accessible way to see more and understand what is going on in inside the classroom. So I suppose that visualization as a technique used to us as teachers is indeed beneficial. We can we can use our eyes more to draw some colors instead of letting this, for example, this drawing is in just in black and white. We can add more colors. We can color our speech even. We can add some figures of speech, things like that. So if we put colors, if we add colors to our students' eyes, I think this is a good idea to let them understand the ideas better. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. You are so great.
Thank you. Thank you for this nice thing. Yes, I want to add something as returning back to our students' multiple learning styles. It is here, this strategy suits the visual ones. And I also, like my students, I am a visual one. I like visualization. So many times I use the cards. For example, I ask some students to prepare these cards maybe for synonyms, for antonyms, for example, and to bring them to the class the other time. They can present them, they can play them as a game. I can make a competition between them in order to urge them to practice, to be engaged more and more in the educational process. So it is very beneficial. For example, when I teach them also the comparison, the comparative, the superlative, I can use themselves inside the topic. For example, I bring two
This is
students. One
better
is
than
short.
that. Yes.
Yes, one
Yeah.
is short, one is tall, and I ask them to describe them returning to the grammar about the present simple using the present simple in comparison, for example,
Yes.
and with
I get
visualization.
a tall student with a short students and say
Yes,
it is
yes,
taller than this. Okay. Or
yes,
fat
yes.
and thin. Okay.
Yes, yes. Sometimes fat and thin, I don't use it because some students, especially female ones, are sensitive for this issue.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, for
Yeah,
just for boys. Just for boys.
yes,
They can
yes.
accept it. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
our students, we go
Yes,
back to
yes.
uh, the
Miss May,
second.
please, sorry
Okay.
for
Okay.
interruption. Miss May writes here, also real
Yes.
objects are exciting and interesting for young children. Yes, I agree with
Yes.
you. For
Yes.
example,
Yes.
also in comparison,
Kids. Yeah.
I ask them to bring some items, some objects from their real life, like balls, like apples, like dishes, like knives, etc. So it is a beneficial one. Miss May says great. Miss Hannah thanks for you. Miss May adds, I did this comparison. Yes, thank you. It seems that most of us as teachers use this comparison. Nermina says, great, thank you. Mr. Al Hassan or Miss Fatima, congratulations for receiving your certificates. Congratulations. So fill the form, and you will receive the certificate immediately via your email that you write inside the form. Miss Fatima says, thanks a million for your efforts. Thank you, Miss Fatima. Mr. Zuhrab says, thanks, dear presenter. Thanks, dear Mrs. Shawqia, for the interesting session. Thank you, Mr. Very much. Thank you. Mr. Muhammad adds, jealousy is found among them all, boys and girls. Yes, really, you are right. Miss Yilan adds, visualization differentiates between learning for exams over learning for beneficial knowledge and well-being. I agree with you. Always this is true. And Nermina adds, very interesting session. Miss Hiam says, thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Yes, you can now continue, Professor Adli.
Okay. Someone ask my phone, please, Lane.
Yes, you can write it in the chat box.
Yes, I write it already.
Yes. Thank you
Okay,
for
just
these nice
1 minute.
smiling.
One minute. Let's wait.
Yes. Mr. Adli, he wrote to you. What do you want?
Okay, I sent it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
we can
now it is
complete.
in the chat.
Okay, number two is repeated, but as I said, the educationalists said the most important teaching strategies, cooperative learning, encourage students. So these are as advice for you. Encourage students of mixed abilities to work together by promoting small groups or whole class activities. Through verbally expressing their ideas and responding to others, your students will develop their self-confidence as well as enhance their communication and critical thinking skills. So important, and it is so important all over the world at schools and universities. Critical thinking skills and communication skills and presentation. So we have to develop and encourage our students to promote their communication, critical thinking skills, because they are very vital throughout life. And also solving mathematical puzzles, conducting scientific experiments, and acting out short drama sketches are just a few examples of how cooperative learning can be incorporated into classroom lessons. I think this cooperative learning is so important. And if you remember that I said it is my favorite teaching strategy. It is cooperative learning. Okay, and I think most of my colleagues agree with my opinion. Okay, if you have any comment, it is okay. About cooperative learning, I think we talked about it before.
Yes,
Anyone
yes,
want to
it
add?
depends on the other one. Yes, they thank us. Mr. Al Hassan says, "Thank you so much, Mrs. Shawqia. Thank you so much for your guest, Professor Adly Abd Al Rahman." Mr. Muhammad says, "Repeated but vital as a
Yes, I think, yeah.
teamwork."
Because
Yes, thank you.
I said, I will mention all teaching strategies, and after that, I mention what the scientists and educationalists say about 7. Okay, so it is repeated to number 3, inquiry-based instruction, tends to think for themselves and become more independent learners. Encourage students to ask questions and investigate their own ideas. Helps improve their problem-solving skills as well as gain a deeper understanding of academic concepts, both of which are important life skills. Inquiries can be science or math-based, just such as why does my shadow change size? It is a question for students. Or is the sum of two odd numbers always an even number? However, they can also be subjective and encourage students to express their unique views. For example, do poems have to rhyme? Or should all students wear uniforms? It is okay. And it is repeated too. So after that, you can comment or I can complete because it is repeated.
Yes, you can complete, please.
Yes, differentiation. Differentiation, so important teaching strategy. So differentiate your teaching by allocating tasks based on students' abilities to ensure no one gets left behind. Assigning classroom activities according to students' unique learning needs means individuals with higher academic capabilities are stretched, and those who are struggling get the appropriate support. This can involve handing out worksheets that vary in complexity to different groups of students, or setting up a range of workstations around the classroom which contain an assortment of tasks for students to choose from. Moreover, using an educational tool such as Quizalize can save your hours of time because it automatically groups your students for you so you can easily identify individual and whole class learning gaps. Number 5, technology in the classroom. It is so important. Maybe our classrooms in some Arab countries lacks technology inside the classroom, but many of our countries have it. So technology in the classroom is so important. Incorporating technology into your teaching is a great way to actively engage your students especially as digital media surrounds young people in the 21st century. Interactive whiteboards or mobile devices can be used to display images and videos which help students visualize new academic concepts. Learning can become more interactive when technology is used, as students can physically engage during lessons as well as instantly research their ideas, which develops autonomy. Mobile devices such as iPad and or tablets can be used in the classroom for students to record results, take photos, videos, or simply as a behavior management technique. Plus, incorporating educational programs such as Quizalize into your lesson plans is also a great way to make formative assessments fun and engage. For Egypt, as I see, we have smart boards inside classes, especially in preparatory schools and high schools or secondary schools. We have smart boards in preparatory stage and secondary stage. And in secondary stage, from the first year of secondary school, all students receive a tablet. And we have in the next year, all exams will be in tablet. For the first year and the second year, secondary school, our students take their exams or do their exams by using their tablets. Okay, so it is a good use of modern technology, and it is important, and it facilitates the teaching process, teaching and learning process. So it is so important. At this point, we can, I give you to comment, just to comment, because it is so important. Okay, Professor
Yes.
Shawqia, you can ask for comments about this point.
Yes. There are many comments. First of all, many asks for the PDF of the training material. They want it.
Yes.
And they also thanking us for this nice session. Miss Amal adds smart board, computer labs, listening in cassette, tablets. Mr. Al Hassan also adds using technology in the classroom. I followed this strategy in English courses presented by Mrs. Shawqia. And Mr. Al Hassan, by the way, was very active member in my online sessions for teaching English for beginners and intermediate ones. And we used, as he said, technology like, for example, using videos, presentations, Padlet, Lanyard, quizzes, many apps, many devices that we use. Thank you, Mr. Al Hassan, for this comment. Ms. Amal
Thank you,
adds
Mr.
to
Al
show
Hassan.
an experiment. Ms. Amal adds to show an experiment may be dangerous. It is safety to use a smart board to show a video. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Congratulations for your nice certification. Thank you. Mr. Al Hassan, Mr. Muhammad Abbas says also we must prepare our students to be digital learners and global learners. Surely it is a very important point as digital learning is also a very crucial issue in the 21st century skills, and we should concentrate on it. Thank you very much.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, we can go to number 6, behavior management. Implementing an active behavior management strategy is crucial to gain your students' respect and ensure students have an equal chance of reaching their full potential. Noisy, disruptive classrooms don't encourage a productive learning environment. Therefore, developing an atmosphere of mutual respect through a combination of discipline and reward can be beneficial for both you and your students. Example, include fun and interactive reward charts for younger students where individuals move up or down based on behavior, with the top students receiving a prize at the end of the week. Golden time can also work for students of all ages, with a choice of various activities such as games or no homework in reward for their hard work. It is like a motivation, like a motivation. So you can tell your students, you are so excellent, you are okay, you need more. Um no homework for you today. Okay, you have a certificate today. At the end for celebration, you have a certificate for some students who do their best and have a great efforts. Okay, so this point is so important. Do you have any comments of,
Yes.
about it?
Yes, Miss Maya says we don't have tablets, but we struggle in our classes. We
Yes.
use our mobile phones and ask our students to search on the internet at home, then discuss this information next time. Yes, this is an important thing to mention. Really, it is a problem for us as educators. And Miss Amira adds, thanks a lot for your effort. And many also thanks us for this. Miss Amira, Mr. Muhammad, thank you. Yes, thanks.
Okay. I
Miss
have a
Amal
comment.
also writes learning based on games is or in gaming is more lovely, preferable for students that they are more active. Yes, I agree with you, Miss Amal, because our students are fascinated by technology and by internet, and so we should use this thing perfectly and positively. Thank you. Mr. Muhammad says we challenge time, but we may build up good relations. Yes, thank you. I agree with you. Yo-Yo says thank you, and also thank you. Then Mr. Muhammad with the students and engage them with what they like. Yes, he says we should make or build up good relations with our students and get engage them with what they like. Thank you.
Yes,
That's it.
I have a little comment for my colleague that mentioned she has no modern technology in her class, but she does her best to encourage her student to search at home by using Google, by using their mobile. So you proved me my idea that we have great teachers in our Arab countries. And when one or many teachers travel abroad and works as a teacher there, Arab teachers abroad will be the best and they will be the greatest because We already here do our best, and we have here great efforts. We work without qualifications. Sorry, not qualification, abilities. No modern technology in some places, but the teacher can do his best to give complete teaching process. So our teachers, we can say we have the most important and greatest teachers and the more efficient teacher in our Arab countries. Thank you. So we go now to number 7. Always our Arab teachers abroad are so successful. Always. As my experience, all Arab teachers, when they travel and work in educational institutes abroad, they always are so great and successful. So we have to be so proud because we are teachers, okay? Professional development. Engaging in regular professional development programs is a great way to enhance teaching and learning in your classroom. With educational policies constantly changing, it is extremely useful to attend events where you can gain inspiration from other teachers and academies. It is also a great excuse to get out of the classroom and work alongside other teachers just like you. Sessions can include learning about new educational technologies, online safety training, advice on how to use your teaching assistants, and much more. Being an effective teacher is a challenge because every student is unique. However, by using a combination of teaching strategies, you can address students' varying learning styles and academic capabilities, as well as make your students a dynamic and motivational environment for students. Okay, what about this point? Professional development. If you have
Is
any
the
comment.
Yes, please, the one who asks me on my WhatsApp that he wants to ask a question, please raise your hand and you can go ahead. Mr. Muhammad, go ahead.
Yes, doctor, you mean me, Ahmad Abbas?
Yes, yes. You
I
raised
think
your
that
hand.
Professor Adli is talking about, no, I'm just talking about this point now with Professor Adli about professional development. Shall I go on?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I think that professional development is important for all of us. Like what you do with us today, now, within these moments, we have benefited from you. You have added much to our professional development. If we keep on this, like perhaps 2 weeks or even once a week, I think that we can build up good relationship with the language itself.
Yes.
We can somehow boost, we can somehow support ourselves regarding the basic skills, at least. I mean, writing, listening, especially listening, of course, and how to find out more about grammatical mistakes that we should even avoid every day. So I think that professional development is effective learning for us as teachers, but as learners too. I
Yes.
mean that we are learning inside the circle itself. It's like this now. We are inside a kind of a learning cycle. We learn from each other now. You're adding to our views, you are adding to our ideas about teaching and how to do that and how to avoid that mistake. So this is what I mean by professional development, and it is a vital step towards our future.
Yes.
I believe,
Yes.
inshallah.
Yes. Excellent.
Thank
Excellent.
you.
So great. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, Professor Shawqia. Hello. Hello. Hello?
Sorry.
Yes, okay.
Yes. Have you finished?
No, not yet. Now,
Yes.
give me the chance to finish. Now, there are 8 useful studying strategies for students that don't enjoy studying. I talk now about teaching strategies for students who don't like studying. You understand this point? We have weak
Yes.
students. So these strategies we can use for students that don't enjoy studying. Why is having a choice of good studying strategies important in our school years? It is because the idea of studying is black or white for most students. They either love it or they despise it. When we're in school, we have to study if we want to make forward progress. When trying to make studying engaging and productive, having a list of interesting studying strategies can help. But could they actually want to study if they found ways to make the process inviting? You bet they could. Effective studying strategies that make the process enjoyable are a necessity for students. They keep them from getting bored and discouraged. Studying can become an appealing and proactive experience for students. You can share the following studying strategies and tips as suggestions to help make that happen for all students. Number one, learn the real world. Our digital natives are looking for real-world connections to learning. They want to know how what we're teaching can be applied to real life. They want to know how it can benefit them beyond school. This is probably one of the best perspectives you can impart to students. Find ways to connect your content to real life experiences and situations. Project based learning activities are some of the best ways to make this happen. Okay, if you don't have time, I can complete directly. Okay, okay,
Yes,
Professor.
because we are about 2 hours here. You
Yeah,
can summarize the last
okay,
points.
okay, I can finish in 5 minutes. Okay, give me 5 minutes and finish all. Okay. And I
Okay.
will, if any one of my colleagues wanted to send them the lecture, okay, he can communicate with me on WhatsApp or Facebook, Adly Abd Al Rahman. Okay. So now number two, encourage group communication. Ask students what they want to accomplish with their study time and how they plan to go about it. Ask them to be open and honest about the challenge they face and provide a supportive atmosphere. Many of them will have their own studying strategies that they've had success with. These are ideas they can impart to others who are struggling. Let them know that you're all learning together. Number three, find out how they learn best. Get students to tell you what the best ways are for them to absorb content. Get to know what your kids are doing to maximize the benefits of study time. You'll likely get a bunch of different answers from them. Once you know, you can coax them gently towards developing new approaches. Encourage them to combine their own study methods with ones they may not have tried. Some approaches includes positive visualization, have them use motivational mantras or message protective thinking instead of saying, I don't get this. Have them ask themselves, how can I get this? Guide them to challenge themselves and develop independent thinking process. Stressing individuality, remind your students that each one of them is unique and special, and they learn and study in their own way. Tell them the truth, which is that they are doing just fine. Fostering a team atmosphere lets students know that they can always feel good about wanting to help each other overcome problems and difficulties in studying and learning. Making it a game, invite your students to use memory games or employ groups challenge to reinforce knowledge retention and exercise their brains. This memory improvement backs from exam time are terrific. Taking, okay, I can, taking frequent breaks. The mind is a muscle in itself. It works hard and needs to take a breather now and then. Remind studying students to get up, stretch, have some water, share a laugh with their friends, and then go back to business. You can also make use of Pomodoro Technique. And here's the definition of Pomodoro Technique: a time management system that encourages people to work with the time they have rather than against it, and use apps that work with it. Number 4, set up a distraction-free zone. Set up study space with little distraction as possible. That could mean everything from basic cleanliness to study in absolute silence, and anything and everything is between. Everyone has a different approach and preferences. Encourage students to only bring what they absolutely need to study session. Don't need the iPod, certain books, or other equipment. Leave them behind. Encourage them to challenge the stigma of needing to have things handy just in case. The psychological benefits can be surprising. Focus on exploration and problem solving. I can proofline that. I speak shortly. Encourage milestones. Okay. And there is Trello. Trello means the visual tool that empowers your team to manage any type of project, workflow to task tracking. Okay, number 7, ask for their help. Number 8, have students teach each other. Okay, and there 4, guidelines for sharing these studying strategies is so important. So I will tell you. Number 1, be patient with them and yourself. If certain kids have been study resistant up until now, don't expect them to turn over a new leaf overnight. Instead, let them warm up to the concepts and find the ones that engage them best. What about those students who do enjoy the study process? They may discover some new studying strategies that could up their game. Number 2, play on your students' potential. We occasionally assume that students are lazy. Sometimes they either aren't studying, or aren't absorbing the content when they do study. As an educator facing complex modern learners, you know differently. You know that it's simply that they may not know effective studying strategies. Look at their strengths and accomplishments. Thus far, then using some of the studying strategies you've discovered here, you can expand on what they can do better. Number 3, be available as a guide on the site to answer questions. Your students will want to know that they can always come to you for an edge to the right direction. The important thing here is to encourage them to discover the answers themselves as much as you can. Critical thinking skills aren't developed in our students by us handing them the information. Be sure to challenge them proactively. Say to them often, that's a good question. Tell me what you think and how you'd go out about approaching this. Your students will hear you and respond. The last one, treat students with dignity and respect, appreciation. There is nothing that motivates a student to give their best more than knowing it matters. It's crucial that they realize their efforts, opinions, and work are valuable. Students who feel good about themselves will perform to their highest possible standards and even exceed them. Make a student's mental and emotional well-being your highest priority. The seeds of learning grow best in healthy and nutrient-rich soil. Thank you for this time that you allow me to be together. And I feel so happy to meet my dear friends and colleagues. Best wishes for you all to get all success, health, and happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Adli, for this nice and helpful, distinguished
I
presentation.
feel so sorry because it is so long and I can't complete explanation of each point as before, as a previous point. But anyone from my friends and colleagues or participants now can communicate with me and we can discuss it completely, and it is okay. And thank you for you to allow me and give me this time to be with you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. The time passes quickly with you. And another time, I thank you for accepting my invitation for the Arab English Teachers Association and hope that our attendees get benefit from your presentation. And I won't forget to thank our participants from all over the world because they stay with us for 2 hours and they also were very active in our session. Thank you very much and hope you the best.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, hello.
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 Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
Assalamu alaikum.
barakatuh. Alaikum
Salam wa
I am
assalam.
from
rahmatullahi.
India.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed your class. It's really so good. I feel so happy that you are all from Arab and I like Arabic language so much. And I just wanted to ask you some questions. If you allow me, I will
Yes.
try to ask. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Actually, I am writing an assignment regarding phonemes of English and Arabic languages, English, Arabic, and Urdu languages. So, can you please give me some hints how many vowels we have in Arabic?
Yes.
Yes,
If
continue.
yeah, just I want to know how many phonemes are there in Arabic language, and how can we relate them to English language?
Okay. What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Muhammad Kaisar Anwar.
Okay,
I am
Mr.
doing my
Muhammad.
masters in English.
I sent you on my on the chat my Facebook, okay, and
Okay,
my
okay,
watch number. you can communicate with me and we can discuss this topic together. Okay, and I'll give you more information about how to teach English, how to teach Arabic, and how to teach English and Arabic together. Okay, I will give
Okay.
you so important information about that, because me, for foreign countries, they asked me to teach them Arabic but in English. So they will benefit from, they not only learn for one language, but they benefit from learning both language, English and Arabic. So we can benefit from each other when you communicate with me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Mr. Ahmed. Hope you the best. Now, I want to congratulate Professor Adly Abd Al Rahman from Egypt, our guest speaker. This is appreciation certificate from the Arab English Teachers Association. And me, as the president of this association, I am honored to award you this certificate in recognition for your outstanding contributions and delivering this lecture, which was titled Teaching Strategies for the Classroom. Thank you another time, Professor Adly. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It is my, I feel so proud of you and to be with my colleagues. I feel so happy, and I hope we strengthen our relations and communicate with me because I like to make friends all over the world and to give mutual cultures and mutual information, and to have good relationship between us. Thank you so much, Professor Shawqia, to give me this opportunity. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone of my friends and colleagues. Best wishes for you, and I hope we meet again in another time. It will be my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and hope to join us more and more with
Inshallah.
other participants.
Inshallah.
And join us for weekly sessions in this association with a new guest, inshallah, from Palestine next week, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you, and best of luck. Goodbye, good night. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Hello. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.